Hi, everyone, and welcome to Clear Point Studios. I am Luann Morris, and this is Matthew Pierce. And today we're going to be talking to Deborah Colleen Rose and asking her questions about her business. So you'll notice that we have done that I guess it was a week and a half ago. Deborah interviewed Matthew, and then she interviewed me. But it takes two of us to interview Deborah.
Right. I'm twice as big, twice as bright, twice as full of life.
Full of something.
Oops.
Full of something, that's right. She's full of it.
Okay. All right. Wait a minute. Matthew,
so Deborah,
I am writing your name down on my list, and I'm
on her list now. I'm on her list. I think I never made it off your list. So, I mean,
don't worry about being on her list. Seriously. Deborah.
What?
Tell us about the different businesses that you're involved in.
Okay, so the businesses that I have right now, I have Investigative Solutions Group Unlimited, which is ISGU.com. And it's a private investigation company that I've had over 32 years. And we have grown and morphed into different things. And at this point in time, we deal mainly with corporate fraud, due diligence, pre-employment background checks, things of that nature. And my clients come from referrals and people I've known for years. And occasionally I'll take a pro bono case for women that are having difficulties, with divorces or whatever. Or if someone calls me and I can tell that they have mental health issues and they think they need an investigator, I will hold their hand and walk them through what their options are. So we have the pro bono side, and then we have the more corporate side.
So are you actually going out and doing surveillance now? Still?
Not often, not much. Most of my stuff entails either doing internet collection of information and database stuff and background checks, or it is dealing with difficult situations that need to be handled with diplomacy and communication skills that a lot of people might not have. For instance, we worked recently on a wrongful death case where the entire DPS department out in East Texas had to be interviewed, and they had declined being interviewed by 3 other investigators that had been hired by the attorneys. And I went out there and got them all interviewed, and the fire department and everything else, and got them to cooperate. So ironically enough, as badly as I piss people off on social media, I'm able to calm them when I need to.
Well, that comes from being a diplomat. I mean, so let me ask you a question. When you say like background checks and things like that, I know that I've worked with a lot of nonprofit organizations, and a lot of them don't do background checks. I mean,
I'm leaving.
I know.
I can't stand to hear
that. I completely and totally get it. So do you work with nonprofits as well? And what would you have to say to nonprofits that aren't doing background checks?
Well, ironically that you bring that up, because, for about 5 years, I was the education director for the National Alliance of Mental Illness with Texas, handling education programs. And my positioning and what I did for them also morphed into helping them to be within their legal confines of managing a nonprofit, because a nonprofit is just like a for-profit corporation. But instead of putting the dividends into stocks or bonuses to employees, it goes back into managing the nonprofit. That's really the only major difference between a profit and nonprofit. And so they weren't keeping their paperwork with the state and the federal government up to date. A lot of them had not filed their board of directors and their other information. And none of the franchises or the affiliates were doing background checks on their employees, much less the volunteers. And a volunteer for a nonprofit is the same as a paid employee, except you don't pay them. So you have the same exposure with a volunteer, and you also have the same legal obligation to them if they get hurt on the job or hurt driving to the job, things of that nature, depending on what their position or what their efforts entail. And most people that run very small or medium-sized nonprofits have no clue about that. And it's scary. It's scary how they're not effective at doing that. It really is. I could
Believe
preach
me, I
about
get
that
it. I mean, I do.
preach about it for hours. I could. I really.
Well, you gave a talk about background checks and how important it was even to vet the people who were there under entertainment people.
Right, right. So with, the one of the other businesses I have, of course, is the sponsor of this podcast, Miles of Smiles Events. And so we entertain people doing an intuitive entertainment. All right. And so, but to help promote this business, because it's new, we've only been doing this for a year. I've joined networking groups, and I've gotten to meet a lot of people that do event planning and other types of services. And I'm appalled, I'll be honest, at how few of them do background checks on their employees. But the other side of that coin is they go out and they hire subcontract help. Like company A may hire company B, and company B may come and hire us to come and do entertainment. So there's multiple layers there of people that are responsible to the client in some capacity legally. And if you don't do background checks and you don't hire people that do background checks, your exposure is just multiplied by 1,000. And again, I had a circumstance where several years back, I was involved from the investigative side of someone that was being sued that owned an event planning company because one of their employees had been accused of theft. It was a long, drawn out process. And the bottom line is that it was a personal vendetta because the man that had been accused of stealing was having an affair with the party hostess wife. It was so dramatic. But this man wound up going back to jail because they'd not done a background check on him. He was out on parole, and the accusation got his parole revoked. The event planning company went bankrupt because they didn't have enough liability insurance. And all of this could have been prevented by running a really inexpensive background check and knowing that this guy was on parole and knowing that they did not want to have him there because he was on parole for theft. And that could have stopped the whole thing, because he actually had gone and gotten this job so he could be at this party because he wanted to watch his girlfriend interact with her husband. Drama.
Oops.
Drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. So,
the question I wanted to ask is, because I know that there's other event organizations, there's other people that do event entertainment and things like that. Isn't that a selling point, like for the business?
Well, to me it is, and
Yeah.
to most educated purchasers and consumers it would be, and the benefit of, like, a lot of the venues and larger homes and more expensive clients in the Dallas area, they use the same event planner year after year after year, so they build up this confidence with them. However, it just takes one little slip like that of bringing someone into your home that one is, because the other side of the coin is that maybe they're not a criminal, but if you do a background check on them, you'll see that they sue people a lot.
Yeah.
And so they're a professional litigator, basically, and suing for slip and falls and or things of that nature. So, and again, people go, well, I've been doing this for years and never had it happen. That's wonderful. But at the same time, it's still a great selling point that you can go to a client and say, you know what, we're the best at what we do. I have this many years of experience, and everybody on my staff is a background check or vetted.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you need to be careful when you hire a company that company does their due diligence.
Yeah. So, like, Miles of Smiles Events, is a good example. I did a background check on everybody that works with us. Matthew had to get one, Luann had to get one. And then I vetted you by having you perform your services for several people to see the quality of what you could provide. It's not because I just like you, I do like you, but
Well, I mean, I think that I mean, speaks a lot to your business. I mean, to your company in general, that not only are you, kind of watching out for the people that are kind of helping you, but also the people that are hiring you. I think that, I mean, it stands to, I mean, I mean, you vetted me, you asked me to read for you. You didn't take me at my word. I mean, and that's fine. I would much rather have it that way. I mean, so I think that it's, I mean, wonderful that Miles of Smiles events actually does that, to make sure that everything is, going where it's supposed to go.
Well,
So,
and the thing about it is as I don't intrude upon your gifts. I
yeah.
hire people that have gifts, but at the same time, we do have a body of standards of
Hmm.
how to do things, how to handle certain situations, certain questions that you will not address, certain questions that you will address, but you'll do it this way. So we have a professional level that we
Mhm.
maintain across the board, even though we're all very different and have very different styles.
Yeah, we're
So,
not, yeah.
yeah,
So
and go ahead, Luann. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna uh segue into what is it that Miles of Smiles does do?
Well, I was just going to say, it's kind of funny how the PI business for me and the Miles of Smiles events kind of go hand in hand, because it's all about dealing with people and questions that they have and things that they're anxious about. And that's one of the reasons why I started Miles of Smiles events. Well, let me be honest, I got fired from the gig company I was working with. Been doing it for 8 years, and they fired me. Why? Because I wanted more work. The people around me wanted more work, and the person that I was working with felt like I betrayed them because I
Mhm.
wanted more work, and I went out on my own to start advertising. And the irony of that is that Miles of Smiles actually was set up as a company over 7 years ago by a friend of mine. She set up the company. She had the logo design. She paid for that. She got us listed on all the directories that were, big directories. And I just let it sit there and didn't do anything with it. And when I had several friends come to me and say, we're starving, we need more work. One was literally losing their house. The other one could not pay their medical bills. I said, basically, I can get us more work, but I'm going to suffer because I'm going to get fired. I am. And they said they were fine with that and they would stick with me and support me. And the hell they didn't. But I knew that they wouldn't either. And I guess it was just my way of saying I was ready to be on my own, because I saw a lot of things I wanted to do differently. And I was
Yeah.
very frustrated. And I really didn't realize how unhappy I was under the other management until I got out on my own. And there were a lot of things I had to learn, a lot of things I'm still having to learn. But the cool thing is that with the PI business, I give people information they need to make better decisions to improve the quality of their life. They're sad. And sometimes I have to give them bad information, or not bad information, but information they don't want to hear. With Miles of Smiles events, I get to be happy and I get to tell them happy things and I get to encourage them. So, I'm not kidding when I tell people Miles of Smiles events is my paid hobby. I get paid to have a hobby and I love it. And it gives me joy. And my Bible mentor, because one of the reasons why it took me so long to step out on my own is I had a conflict about where it fell into my spiritual beliefs, that biblical thing. Oh, don't talk to the fortune tellers. And after several long sessions with my Bible mentor, he finally was able to convince me that it was nothing more than an extension of my own prophetic ministry. Now, it may not be that for Matthew, it may not be that for Luann, it may not be that for any of the other team members, but for me personally, that's what it is. So it's just part of my prophetic ministry that is extended, and it gives me the opportunity to see hundreds of people I would never get to see in any other fashion.
Well,
That's great.
I think that we
Yeah,
I don't see I don't see myself as a fortune teller, Deborah, but that's what
well,
people call us.
that's what people call us, and I'm not comfortable with that term. I'll be honest. I go a little bit every time I hear fortune teller or card reader even, but it is what it is. And you have to relate to people on their terms. I can't educate the rest of the world and make them meet me on mine,
Right.
All right, we could have a whole different conversation as far as what the Bible says about fortune telling and so on and so forth. That's,
Oh, I think we
but
should
I
later
really
on.
seriously do believe that it's part of your ministry. I mean, I've heard you read, and I've heard you, like I've had readings from you. And so I like your terminology that you use, like, especially in your advertising, that it's inspirational, intuitive entertainment. And I think that kind of takes a little bit of the edge off of the fortune telling side of it, that it kind of puts people at ease that no, we're not going to talk doom and gloom. We're gonna give you something inspirational.
Well, there's two things about this industry that have kind of freaked me out over the years. One is how many people I have heard say, well, we hired someone to come and read cards at our party, and they freaked people out because they told one lady she was going to die or told her not to get pregnant. And I'm like, why would you pay? Seriously, why would you pay someone to come to your party and do that? And I don't know how someone can do that ethically, knowing that they're being hired first as entertainment and second as someone that's intuitive. I think a lot of people that do this in this industry have got it backwards. They think they're being hired for their great spiritual gifts, and they're going there to amaze people. And that's not what is happening, because you're only get to sit there with people 5 minutes average, 20 if
Even
you're
if you're lucky.
Yeah. And I think they've got it backwards. So that has always troubled me about this industry. And then the other thing that's weird is that I'm not lying, I constantly have people come to me go, you look nice. I want to talk to you, but I'm afraid to, because I'm a Christian and I don't want to talk to a fortune teller and go to hell.
Yep.
And and I raise my arm up and goes, you see that? Do you know what that means? Yeah, I'm a Christian too. And it's okay. We'll walk this together. It's okay. And people are happy with that. And they will sit and talk to me. And generally they're the ones that give me the most raging testimonial of, positive testimonial. Because they get it. And I've had people that have been doing this 15, 20 years ago. I've never had anyone say that to me. Well, to me, that doesn't mean that they're wrong. Doesn't mean that I'm right. It just means that it's reinforcement to me that I'm in the right place at the right time on the right path. And that's how I take it,
And a lot of times I tell people that when I'm reading, this is just a snapshot in time, and it's really telling you the main things that you have on your plate and what your concerns are. I mean,
well,
truly,
and I don't talk about God unless they bring it up.
I don't either.
I don't talk about the Bible unless they open a door and it's a pertinent part of the conversation. I don't try to convert people. I don't try to tell them that their religion is wrong. I don't talk religion at all.
Well, it's not the venue for that.
No, again, that's not appropriate. If they ask me a direct question, I give them a direct answer in regards to certain things. But, and I'll say, if they say, well, I'm not clear about what you're saying, I said, well, for me, it would mean this because of my belief system. If you tell me a little bit more about your belief system, then I can put it in words that you can relate to.
Right, your higher power, whatever it is you believe in.
Whether it be God, goddess, higher power, the universe, spirit, whatever terminology you use, we will use that, because that's not, I don't proselytize. Never have, never will. I'm just not doing that. I don't believe in it. But anyway, so what were we talking about?
We're talking about Miles with Smiles and what kind of services you provide. Now, there's other things, and I think the one that's most, I don't want to use the word twice, but uniquely yours.
Oh, yeah. So we are entertainers first, but we bring all of us bring these wonderful talents and gifts and just knowledge. And so I am a handwriting therapist. So that means I analyze handwriting, and then I'm able to help people through handwriting therapy. And so by using that knowledge, I can analyze a real quick snapshot of someone's handwriting. And then through the course of self-study and having to do it for the other company that I used to work for, and then exploring that more in depth, because frankly, that person didn't really train me in it. I had to teach myself. And there's a wonderful lady out there that does lipsology, and she shared things with me, and I got the book, and I make everybody read the book called Lipsology from Amazon. We're able to put those two things together. So you write out a little note, and then you kiss it like you're in love, and we can tell you about yourself. And it's a personality profile. It's not a fortune telling device. But it's very entertaining. Why? Because people love to hear about themselves, and people also love to know that other people see them. And so 9 times out of 10, people say, well, how did you know that? And I will literally sit there and explain it to them. It's not a secret. It's not woo woo. There is a science to both of those, whether you believe it or not. And I'll say, I said this because of this, and this because of this. And people like to hear that. And they like to know that I'm actually an expert at what I'm talking about. And it reassures them. That type
And you're
of thing.
like one of 9 or something like that in the world that, I mean, has like
that can train other people. There are lots of people that do the therapy, but I'm like one of the last that I know, the last I was told, I was one of like 9 people that's certified as a trainer to train this other people in this. And I, at the Council of Families, we did train other people to do this therapy for several years, and I haven't done a training in a while. But that's just
You
because
trained us?
I did. I get, yeah, I get a little bit of training. I do. Hey, no barking. So there's my dog. But and so the other thing is that I look at the talents of my team. Dr. Matthew is part of my team, Luann is part of my team, and I'm like, this is what they do that's really great. And then we look at how to take that talent and turn it into something that is entertaining or an enhancement to the event world. So like with Luann, I have sat down and drug her kicking and screaming at times to make her come up with combinations and ideas of how we can do essential oils at events. And you can actually mix your own oils at the event. So it's great as entertainment. It's also great for team building. Dr. Matthew is, I'm going to tell you what, he is phenomenal at palms. I mean, he's taken palms to a whole new level. We're all good at everything on what that we offer. So I don't let clients call, say, oh, I specifically want so-and-so, unless it's a rare situation, because we're all good at this. We're all good enough. But I'm going to tell you right now, Dr. Matthew and his palms is out of this world. And it takes a lot to impress me. I'll be honest.
Well,
Luann is out of this world with tea leaf readings.
Yeah.
I'm good at it. I
Right.
enjoy it, but Luann just brings something to the table that I like, that I don't want to take the time to do.
I tell
That's
you,
the
I have
bottom.
never, since I wasn't on Matthew's interview, I have never been in a position to meet with somebody who has just taken something and run with it like he has.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
you
He's
know,
insane.
yes.
Insane is what he is. He's a crazy man.
Okay, but okay, so you guys are turning on me a little bit, but I want to know about your cards. So tell me about your cards, because I know that you created a deck and I got a reading with this deck. It's amazing. It's amazing. So what inspired you to put this together?
Luann goes,
No.
I've always wanted to do my own deck. And I said, so have I. And my really good friend, before she passed, had put together a spirit oracle card deck that I liked, but it just didn't really resonate with me. I didn't like the pictures. And I said, I think I have a good idea for this. And I said, and so she and I sat down, and it only took us like a couple hours to work out the list of names that we wanted for the cards. Because
Wow.
Our whole concept is that we wanted to encourage people to reach out and grab their own gift. I personally believe everyone has the ability to be spiritually gifted, because we're meant to be mind, body, and spirit blended. Okay. And I believe that a lot of people are unhappy because they deny their spirit world, whether they realize it or not. So Luann and I, I don't think we disagreed on any of the words, did we? We just went through
Well,
it.
there were one or two that we had an argument about, like generational curses.
We didn't have an argument. I just had to tell you why you were wrong.
Well, but I mean, if there's one card,
That's
you know, as
right.
far as generational curses, that you could probably would, you know, have trouble because that's a huge, you know, a huge area. So if you only had like a disagreement on like one or two cards,
That was
I'm
it.
impressed.
Well, and
And
Sharon's cards had, I did she had 80 or so cards?
yes, we said, and we thought a lot of them were redundant and repetitive and stuff. And the generational curse is very open in its defining moment. Okay, you can take it from a biblical standpoint. You can take it from the fact that we learn from our environment, and so things get passed down through the nurturing environment or lack
Yeah.
of. You can take it through the DNA. I do believe there's a lot of stuff that we get through inherited DNA, and that's the way we interpret that and explain that. So we spent a lot of time picking out the right pictures, and I don't think that there was ever really any hardcore discussion on that. I think it was like, yeah, that works. Yeah, that works. I mean, to me, it flowed.
Sometimes there were pictures that I wasn't sure about, so I would pick two or three, and then we would decide on the two or three. But yeah, that was probably the hardest part, is putting the words that we had used to put on the cards and matching them to the proper photograph to, I don't know, inspire you to interpret for people.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, I had to apologize because I'm drawing a blank on what the name of the deck is.
Life Tapestry.
Thank you, Life's Tapestry. I don't know why I just lost it, just went out of my head. Now, is this a deck that people can purchase, or is this like just specifically used for Miles of Smiles events?
No, they can purchase it. We haven't figured out how to put the cards on Amazon. The book that goes along with suggestions for the cards is printed on Amazon, just because it makes it easier for me to order it that way. But once I figure out how to get it up online somehow, we'll offer it. But we sell the dogs. We sell the cards by themselves, or they can actually call and say, we'd like to have a class, and we can actually do a class and help people get in touch with them, you know, with their own spiritual awareness. And in fact, I just did this at a bachelorette party last week. I had a long gig for 6 people. So I did lip print readings for them, kiss reading. We call them kiss readings. I did kiss readings for them. And then I did angel oracle card readings for them. And then I show them what I call the Las Vegas shuffle, which is taking the Life Tapestries cards and just slamming them down, boom, 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 and putting together a message. And then I gave the deck to each one of the ladies and had them do a reading themselves. And they were all just wowed with how easy it was to pick up that deck, and never having had any experience with any kind of card readings, be able to interpret that. And they all did a great job.
Yeah,
And
I think that was our second goal, is to make it easy for other people to use. They are available. The cards are available at herbal-lou.com under Metaphysical Creations.
Yes. So, I mean, they're there. It's just not like I would like to have them easily available on Amazon, but I will figure that out eventually when there's nothing else to do.
Luann gave me a reading with the Life Tapestry cards. Okay. And some of the stuff that she said inside of it, I was like, yeah, that's not happening right yet. But then it was like, not 48 hours later, it was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to tell Luann. I mean, she said that right now, where there was kind of like a little lull, you know, but my path was about ready to like take me into areas that, you know, I would have never even thought of. And I mean, I was so impressed at how accurate and how like distinctive the cards were from, you know, from giving me that inspiration. So, I mean, bravo to both of you for creating. I mean, I absolutely love the deck.
Well,
Thank you. We
what's
do too.
cool about all of this is that for me personally, I have finally found a way to tie everything I am good at and everything I like to do into one big picture because, I've maintained the PI business for 35 years. And let me just say, I'm really proud of that for one reason in particular. When I started this, I was a very young female investigator. And I was one of the few female investigators around at the time. I was one of the few investigators, period, that did not have a secondary source of income. It was my primary source of income, and I was taking care of my family with the income. So I was quite successful at it. And at the time, the majority of the people in this were older men that were semi-retired or retired from military or law enforcement, and this was subsidizing their income. So you see my point. We have Miles to Smiles events. Then we have another little business that's not really a business, but it's an identity called the DFW Paranormal Investigations, where we go in and we investigate houses and we actually can see if we find anything, and we can perform spiritual cleansings and blessings if we need to. And then on DeborahColleenRose.com is me, where you can contact me for NLP coaching, spiritual coaching. You just need someone to give you a kick in the pants. I'm real good at that, something of that nature. And it's like finally, because I've been self-employed since I was 19. And no, I'm sorry, 21, since 21. And it's like I finally figured out a way to feed all of the parts of myself and to feed my talents and my gifts, but also the things I enjoy doing and that I like to do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I talk in long sentences. I realized the other day when I was typing, I was like, that's a really long sentence. So, and I also have books on Amazon. I have over 42 books on Amazon now. Some of them I just edited. About 12 of them I just edited. The others I wrote or co-authored. So, can you hear my dog?
No.
No, good. Good. So anyway, she's going nuts. That's all right. So what else? What else do we need to know?
What do you want to tell us? I mean, I think that, it's impressive to know that you found that which you enjoy, like, in that all of the things that you're doing right now, like, fulfill you. I mean, I'm just now getting to that point in my life where I've let things go that, didn't serve my, my purpose, my higher goals, and things like that. So, what's your motivation? Like, what keeps you going?
Well, so let me just say this. My husband Scott and I were talking about this the other day. I had a scholarship to an Ivy League school. I had a full ride and I didn't go. I didn't go to college. And most of the people that know me, hi baby, think that I went to college and might even have a degree. Oh my God. But I don't. And because I just wanted to do what made me happy. And I have been very blessed, but didn't fully know it or appreciate it till recently, that I've been able to do the things that I enjoy and got paid for it. I never had a career plan. I never had a goal career-wise. And I just would literally stumble into things through life circumstances and go, oh, I'm good at this and I like it. And oh, look, people will pay me for it. And it really makes no sense. Honestly, it really doesn't. So that's why I say God is very good to the ignorant and the stupid and the people that are silly, because I'm a living example of that.
No, you cannot use the word stupid when you're talking about yourself.
Oh, no,
No.
Well, I did fly by the seat of my pants a lot through life.
Yes.
Let me just put it that way. And, it just, because how bright are you to have a full ride to an Ivy League school and not go?
Well,
I could
it's
have
a challenge,
been
even though, it's a challenge.
but I had no desire to go to college. I had none whatsoever. I was just done, absolutely done with the educational system. So,
well, I'll tell you what, I am in the academic realms. I don't lie about that. but I have met more people that are self-made. I mean, that I've given up the notion of saying, hey, what you need to do after high school is go to college and get a degree and so on and so forth. Some of the most inspiring people that I know didn't do that. One gentleman that started $1 million business didn't even graduate from high school,
Yeah.
but he's doing the things that he loves. And so
Yeah.
that's what really, I mean, I hear coming out of you is like being inspired, no matter what, just being inspired and doing the things that make you happy and light you up.
Well, I will say this, it's real hard for me to accept compliments as a rule. And I actually don't even hear them a lot of times. First of all, I'm not auditory, I am visual kinesthetic, just to give you a clue. But I really felt complimented, and I really kind of understood why compliments are so cool for the first time recently. Because I was having dinner with my Bible mentor, and he pulled out his iPad and started taking notes on our conversation so that he could remember the things that I was saying, because he wanted to use that information for other things. And I'm like, wow, this guy has, I think, 2 master's degrees. He's a PhD, and he went to Oxford, and he's writing what my words are. Wow. I felt complimented for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I think some of us have more are more in depth as far as common sense and what other people are looking for.
wow, it's a good thing I got this hat on so my head doesn't swell.
We're trying to make it pop off. I mean, so
No, I love what I do. The other thing is if I was going to just tell anybody that's younger than me, which is just about everybody now, but don't spend a lot of time with regrets. Not that you don't make mistakes. And to be honest, there's a lot of things that I'm really sorry that the people around me are hurt, but I'm not sorry for what I did. That's a hard one. That's a really, I think it would be easier to say, oh man, I really fucked that up and I got to go make amends, than to say, no, I'm cool with that, but I really hate the result of it.
Right.
And the fact that this person's mad or they're upset, that type of thing. And I think that comes with the fact that I don't like getting my feelings hurt, but most people don't know that they do hurt my feelings because I don't show that a lot. The other thing is that I pride myself on being able to compromise to where most people feel like we're in at least a semi-win-win situation. And so when I run into someone that a year or two later will go and say, you're a bitch, you really did me wrong or something. And this only happened a couple of times in my life, but I hate that, and but you can't spend your time planning around that. You can't spend your life regretting that. You can't spend your life, having remorse. And I finally figured out that's what really forgiveness is about, especially with yourself. And the reason that comes to my mind is I talked about forgiveness in church with the kids yesterday. So
Well,
that was our
if it's something you've done to offend somebody and they're still hanging on to it years later, they're the one who needs to do the work, not you.
Exactly. We call it butt hurt. Get over being butt hurt.
whenever I have this conversation, especially inside of counseling and things like that, there's a story that's kind of a nice analogy, and it's about 2 monks, and these 2 monks are walking down the road, and it just happened to be raining, and the road that they were on was very muddy. It was, I mean, very dirty, but they were trudging on to the next town, and so they were just walking. Well, they came to a point where it was extremely muddy, extremely deep, and there was a woman with her cart stuck on one side of the road, and she needed to cross the road and get to the other side. So the younger monk took the cart and drug it across the road, and the older monk picked up the woman and carried her across the road and set her down by her cart. And the 2 monks continued to walk on, and the younger monk turns to the older monk and goes, "You're not allowed to do that." And the older monk just said, okay. And so they continued to walk and they got to the next town. And the young monk thought, I really need to talk to him because he did something bad. He did something that is against what we believe in. And he turns to the older monk and he goes, I can't believe that you did that. I can't believe that you picked that woman up and you touched her and carried her across the road. And the old monk looks at the younger monk and he goes, I put her down hours ago. Why haven't you?
Oh, ooh, ooh. That's awesome. That's awesome. I had not heard that. That's a good one. That's a real good one.
So whenever people are saying get over it, that's the story that runs through my mind is like, I put her down hours ago. Why haven't you?
Well, I don't understand that. I can understand being mad. I've grown up in a very angry family overall, but to actively pursue being mean to people, and this is what gets me. Everyone tells me I'm a scary person because I'm so powerful and I have all this energy and blah blah blah. But you know what? It doesn't stop people from wanting to try to be ugly to me. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm so dead-gum powerful and scary, why are they so stupid to try and be ugly to me? Makes no sense. So, but it served me well in the private investigation business because I've been able to go into dangerous situations that other people couldn't go into, and it kept me safe. I've never, ever had anyone pull a gun on me in my professional life. I have in my personal life. I find that ironic. So again, it's about energy, placement of energy, how you focus on it, how you direct it. So we could talk about all kinds of crap from all of this. We really could. All of us could. We've all had these different experiences. So
Right.
I'm glad we got to share all three of our businesses though. It's really funny. Miles to Smiles events is becoming my primary focus. I never thought that was going to happen. I thought that but it's really weird. I've never identified myself. Like when people say, well, who are you? I never go, well, I'm a private investigator. I've never done that. I will say I do private investigations. That's part of what I do. But I am now saying I am a spiritual person. I am identifying as a spiritual person. So I think that says a lot about how my mind has shifted and my focus has shifted. So
let me ask a question in general, because one of the things that I've been seeing is that people in business today are starting to kind of like shift away from this is the way we've always done business to a little bit more of an open-mindedness, or I don't know if you want to say enlightened type of thinking. I mean, and so I guess the question is this, is do you see that with your businesses, that you're kind of shifting towards that, or?
I've never done business the way everybody else did. First of all, I never got heavily involved in the investigative networking, and I was part of the statewide association for several years, and I just never really fit in. So I never built strong bonds with other investigators and stuff like that because I didn't realize it at the time, but I always focused on the humanity part of the business. This is the legal, and this is what we have to do with the legal, but what are we trying to achieve here? So I find myself many times doing a lot of negotiating and mediating. And in fact, I was one of the first people that was not an attorney to take the training for mediation, legal mediation, and getting certified in it. And then a couple of years later, you had to be an attorney to be a mediator. But I actually did mediation in JP Court for a while. So mediation and negotiation has always been kind of my focus and strong suit under the PI veil type of thing. And so like my main clients on my investigation side now are corporations, the HR departments, or the upper management doing the due diligence and fraud, that type of thing, or other or attorneys. And attorneys, my attorney clients actually will call me and say, this is my problem. What can you do to help? They don't call me and say, I need a PI to go get this for me. And so I'm actually part of the strategy team at that point. And we do things like voir dire, where we go and help them to pick, jurors, and I'm like, don't get number 12 for God's sake. They're lying through their teeth, and things like that. And, and have been pretty successful at that. I'd like to do that more often. I don't get to do that very often. So I forgot what we were talking about.
I think that with your intuition and your NLP, that would be right up your alley.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I do too. But, the thing that's frustrated me is that what I would really love to do, because when I've taught a lot, I've been a teacher a lot. I was a teacher in the mental health industry. I've done a lot of teaching in the PI industry. I would love to be a teacher now in the spiritual realm. And I have not found a place to do that where I've been accepted. It's like, on one hand, this is what is frustrating. On one hand, in the metaphysical community, I'm not seen spiritual enough. And in the Christian community, I'm seen as being too spiritual and too way out there. And, oh my gosh, where, what's going on there? And so I haven't really found, I hadn't found my niche.
Well, maybe that's why we met. Maybe, we can find you that place that your voice can be found inside of teaching, because I think you're a marvelous teacher.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to tell you what, I had a class yesterday with my 3 grandkids, and I thought, I have to teach. I have to teach, because if someone had taught me this when I was a child in church, my whole life would have been different. My entire adult life would have been different. And I don't have any remorse, and I wasn't sad. I was just thinking, wow, this is so easy and it's so powerful. Why aren't the churches teaching this? Why? And all it is taking the practicality of what's in the Bible and saying, this is how you apply it to day-to-day living, And what I did, Dr. Matthew, is that we were talking about how to forgive and the steps you go through. The Bible says forgive 7 times 70, whatever, over and over and over, every day if you have to. And everybody goes, well, okay, so how do you forgive? So I was teaching the kids, this is the steps to learning how to forgive. And this is how you practice it. No one in church ever taught me that. They just said, you better forgive or you're an asshole,
Yeah. Because a lot of people say, how do I do that? How do I?
So I'm thinking, you take spirituality, you take NLP, and you put a Bible verse in the middle to connect the two. Awesome.
Sounds like a great formula.
I think so. Oh, I just got chills.
Okay, so I'll expect a manuscript from you and a class outline probably within the next 3 days.
Okay, that sounds good. Because I have nothing else to do, right?
Exactly.
No, wait, how many businesses do you own? Yeah, no, you don't have any time at all. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So to close, let me just say this. Going back to Miles of Smiles events, this is how great we are. And I don't mean me, I mean the team, all of us together. So we get clients that call with really crazy ideas. Like, can you do this? So like we had a client that once says, we want you to sell merchandise at the party. I'm like, you want what? So Luann and I get together, and she puts together some Bitch Be Gone spray, and I put together some chakra stones and kits, and then we put together a mystic tool kit, and we sold it at the party. Okay. So, because what is it? It's about making the client happy. It's about being creative. And so then I had a client says, you know what? They love their dogs. It's a big, huge complex, and they love their dogs. And we do all kinds of different things for the dog owners. And she goes, come out with something new, Deborah. Okay. Sure. Easy peasy. And I got to thinking, though, I don't even know how it came to me. So I came up with the idea of like, I'm going to have 2 bags of rocks, and I'm going to jiggle them in front of the dog's face. One's got rose quartz, the other's got amethyst, and whichever one they sniff first, that's the rock I pull out. Put the rock into a spiral cage, put it on a leather thong, and then they give the owner a reading on what kind of relationship they have with their dog.
Yeah.
Great. Sold the client on the idea. We're doing it. And the day of, I'm not kidding you, the day of, I'm like, that's not enough. So then I pull out my animal totem cards, And I did that the way I described it. I said, but now we're going to find out what your spirit animals are and how your dog helps you to connect with those qualities. And so I did a reading for that. People are crying. They're so moved. They're so touched. So we're all about coming up with new ideas. And the whole point of this is not to say, hey, we're great. We are, but that's not the point here. The point is that spirit moves in all kinds of ways. It doesn't have to be through just a Bible verse. It doesn't have to be through a deck of cards. It can be anything, absolutely anything. So, and if you're in touch with your intuition and your spiritual gifts, you can pick something up and go, you know what this means to me? And this is the message it's delivering right now. And that's all it takes. And that's when you are in touch to your spirit world. What's going on with your picture, Luann? Oh, the sun's coming in.
The sunlight changed.
You're bathed in a rainbow. That was kind of cool. It was like I was being graced with the rainbow because I was preaching good. That's past that plate.
There you
go. I
go.
love it.
It's the
See,
way the
you
sun...
moved the universe.
That's past that plate now. I'm preaching good now. Can I get an amen? I do love old Southern preaching styles, so they're fun. You know?
We're flexible enough to give the client something of value.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get value regardless, and you're going to get something that you can take away that's meaningful regardless. It can be a cocktail reading. It can be a chocolate reading. It can be a cold reading. Half the time they think I'm a guest at the parties, unless I'm sitting at a table with a sign, you know, anything. What kind of shoes are you wearing? Oh my God. Let me see. You've got on leather sandals. Okay. This is what I know about you. You fall on the path. No, I'm not going to do that. But anyway, I'm on a roll. All right. So Luann, tell them how to get a hold of you.
Herbal-lu.com. That's HERBAL-LU.com or herballu1105@gmail.com.
All right, Dr. Matthew, how we can get you?
Get a hold of me at matthewapierce.com or metaphysicalevents.com. And you can contact me at Matthew at either one of those, Matthew at Matthew A. Pierce or Matthew at metaphysicalevents.com.
All right. And this is Deborah Colleen Rose. I don't have a title. I'm just Deborah Colleen Rose. ISGU.com for investigations, smilesevents.com for intuitive interactive entertainment, and Deborah Colleen Rose for whatever else you think you might need. I've got an opinion about it. We will see y'all next time. Thanks for having us in your house.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.